guys. Today I want to discuss a problem that I've been having with language, and that's the problem of I have too many languages running around in my head, I guess, and I've started to blend them and say things that are incorrect and write things that are incorrect. And so I want to talk about this. This is actually interesting. I did a little looking up about language confusion on the internet and on some interesting things about that. So I'll discuss those. Basically, what the problem is that I've been doing a lot of things with the languages that I made up, and also I've had Latin class for like 5 years now. This is my fifth year of Latin, and so I had it all through middle school and then Latin 3 right now. So I've really learned Latin a lot, and I can do pretty well writing and talking in Latin. And so, or et tam, if you're a Latin speaker. Uh, I've really had like some language confusion with that. I noticed the other day that I was asking uh, like how are you doing in Latin? Like I said, quid facis, which is like how do you do or how do you make, and that was really weird. And I've been noticing like other things, little things like that, like who or qui. I said qui before one time when I was asking somebody about who, and I've started to also think in Latin. But Latin is just one thing. I want to talk about simplex. I've been writing a lot of notes in classes, like in AP World History and AP Environmental Science. I've been writing a lot of the notes in simplex because I don't really like writing a lot. And so simplex is way shorter and it's way easier to write. And I've been not really using like rigid simplex because simplex puts the verb at the end of the sentence, which is actually not unlike Latin, but that's different. So not unlike Latin, it puts the verb at the end of the sentence. So it makes you have to think in kind of a different order, and also the fact that you have to put your prepositional phrases and adjectives all before your noun kind of messes with the order as well. So it makes you kind of have to think it. You have to do more thinking, less than writing. And so when I actually write simplex, like to use in notes, it's always often kind of like a Creole, and it has more than just three words in the sentence, like 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 simplex recently, or the Creole kind of not really simplex, but just like simplex words kind of thing. And so we're doing a lot with that, and so I haven't been talking as much in simplex, so I really haven't said anything randomly in simplex, but like I have noticed that I've started to write a lot of things that I meant to write in English, kind of written in simplex, and I've started to lose some English spelling that has to do with putting words together. For some reason, I started to write, how like words that have like an E, the silent E at the end of them, like, let me think of a good example. Oh, complete. So complete is like Complete, and that E at the end, you have to take it off to put an ing at the end of it. And I noticed the last time that I wrote that today, I left the E in there. And then I looked through some of my older stuff and I realized that I've been doing that a lot. I've been leaving the E in there. And I think that's a consequence of, the kind of the where you put the words together in simplex, and it's like you put them together and you don't take anything off or anything. I've been doing that a lot recently. And I've also noticed that I've also unknowingly started to put random English words together to make compound meanings, like in simplex. So I've started to turn my English into simplex and turn my simplex into English. And yeah, that's that. That's like the major problem. Those are the major problems, but I've started to, I guess, blend all my languages together, and that's really weird, and I hope it's not going to continue, that I have some sort of weird second English Latin hybrid as my first language, and no one's able to understand me. And that's bad. I haven't had much trouble with like universal glyphs because I don't do much in universal glyphs. I've been kind of slowly writing this like account of somebody's journey, but that doesn't really matter. And so That's a really slow and painful process, so I haven't really been doing writing too much about that. And I haven't really pronounced any of the words because each thing is like a syllable, and so I never really have done any talking in universal glyphs, but I can probably figure it out if I write it down first because I know some of like the logograms or whatever. I haven't really written in universal glyphs unwittingly either because it's really hard to make that jump from like a letter to like a random glyph thingy. Though that might happen in the future as I get more blended languages become more incomprehensive or whatever. Also, I said earlier about how I was placing, simplex, you have to place the prepositional phrase before the noun. And like I said, then in simplex, I'd stopped doing that. In English, I started doing that. So it's like the feature went from simplex and then came into English. And it was like, why can I keep it in? Okay. So yeah, that's also happened a few times. I've had trouble with, I've had some spelling issues. Simplex usually replaces C's with K's if they're at the end of if they're at the end of the word and they're hard, like a k sound. Every once in a while, I'll do something weird like that. There's just some like oddities that I've had. Hopefully, it won't turn into where I start writing like random universal glyphs as part of words and start to do things like that. Or write glyphs is like a kind of a syllable because like the different syllables like each glyph stands for a syllable, and if I start writing like a glyph is like a sort of beginning of a word or something, because I've heard of like people doing that like in languages like Japanese or Chinese where they'll accidentally write like a character in front of the rest of a word with like the first letter left off, and it's like becomes the pronunciation, and they forget to put the first letter and they put some random character that has the same sound as it in front. I hope that doesn't happen. Language confusion. Latin is playing a big part. I've started to, I mean, just like Latin and simplex are really blending into my English, and I've started to have a little trouble writing it. Writing's most of my trouble, but every once in a while I'll say something random in Latin. So I've heard of this happening before. Like I said, I did some looking on the internet, and so a lot of people have had this problem. Looks like when they start to learn other languages really intensively. So it's not like a big deal, but it's just kind of annoying, and I think I might have to brush up my English a little bit. So, just a little update.